Adultism. Many people ask, what does that mean? I've never heard of it. It means the behavior and assumption that adults are better than young people and entitled to act upon young people without their agreement. The evidence that adultism exists is many adults treat their children or students with disrespect and look down on them because they view them as lesser than. The general consensus throughout the decades has been children listen to their parents and do whatever they say just because they are older than them. Adults in society view the younger generation to be inferior to them in all circumstances. The parents/teachers feel they are wiser and more mature just because they are older. Have you ever heard the saying, "I've been on the earth longer"? They say that to make their claims true. Many times, adults will think that they are just wiser just because they've been on the earth longer. But what if I know more about a topic and I'm only 18 and the adult's 44? It does not take young people seriously and does not include them as decision makers in the broader life of their communities. It is certainly true that children and young people need love, rules, guidance, a role model. Everyone needs a good role model. And protection. Food, shelter, water, the necessities. For example, a 3-year-old needs a different amount of sleep than a 15-year-old. Or what works to physically restrain a 7-year-old will not work with an 18-year-old. As we grow older, things become different. I'm going to discuss 4 key points of adultism. Number 1 is denied control. School systems and parent-child relationships are where denied control is extremely prominent. Students are forced into this bubble when it comes to imagination within classrooms. Professors and teachers feel that they deserve respect without giving the same to the students. This often causes a bad relationship between young and old. Many students in classrooms do not voice their opinion very often because every time they get shut down or they get viewed as immature. The other topic that I want to talk about is emotional. The emotional sense of adultism. When the youth try to discuss how they are feeling or express their emotions, people deem them as immature. Many adults deem the younger generation as overbearing or annoying when they simply try to express their feelings. I've had that happen many times. Sometimes the adult figure can become upset when a younger person is correct and the adult tries to say the kid was being disrespectful. I know that's happened in many people's lives. You have a good key point in an argument, and they do not like what you're saying, and so they just deem it as disrespectful because they know they're in the wrong. The third point that I want to go over is how to create positive youth-adult relationships. All positive relationships are built on respect and trust. Respect goes both ways, though, in any type of relationship, whether it be parent and their child, friends, family, romantic relationships. Many times, this safe bond gets crushed when people do not respect each other. Adultism is the lack of respect If adults just had more respect for what kids, teenagers, young adults had to say, everything would work in harmony. I have gathered some examples from Brunel students who would like to remain anonymous, but they emailed me about their experiences in some of these categories. The first one says, a professor once tried to correct me on a simple math question that I knew was correct. They made fun of me in front of the entire class and wouldn't try to solve the problem, even when others around me defended my answer by telling the professor I wasn't wrong. That professor just wanted to be right and prove me wrong, since apparently I was too young and they were older, so they knew more about math than I did. This falls into denied control. The professor did not want to give up control to the student who they knew was correct. The second one, they said, in one of my labs, my professor decided to have a pop quiz the third day of class and said if you did not pass, then they would kick the students out of their class. Thankfully, the quiz was on human anatomy, which they took a similar class in high school, so they passed the quiz, but many students did not. Even though they expressed their feelings on the pop quiz, the professor did not care at all. They did not care how they felt on the situation and told them it was the students' fault for not being prepared. This is another example of denied control. And it also falls into the emotional aspect. The professor did not care about the emotions that the students had, did not care how they felt. They just knew that what they were doing was right and that nothing else mattered. The third one is not about a professor. It's about a parent-child relationship. So they described a time where the student's mom deemed them disrespectful by simply being correct in an argument. This also plays into emotional. The emotional aspect is what really is prominent in adultism. Caring about others' emotions can bring you closer to someone, but not caring about them at all and disrespecting them can draw them back. While I think adults are very wise, and it is true, they have been on the earth longer, but that does not give them the right to deem us irresponsible, immature, just by how we're feeling, or what we say, or how we say things. I think it would be good for people to just simply correct us. Instead of saying, "You're so smart for 15. When are you going to grow up? Don't touch that. You'll break it. As long as you're in my house, you'll do it. You're being childish. You're too old for that. It's just a stage. You'll outgrow it." These different statements can harm our emotions and our feelings about what we say. It can draw back our voice. Instead, why don't you say, "You're so smart," instead of, "You're so smart for 15. Say, "Look how you've grown." Instead of, "You're being childish," maybe say, let's not do that again. Maybe grow from that. Let's think about how we can grow from that. Calling us childish makes us just want to be more immature, because apparently that's how you view us, so why be anything different? Adults and teachers need to realize the things that they say, do, how they act, can have a deep impact on children and teenagers, young adults even, in their lives. If respect can go both ways, adultism can be decreased. I hope you liked it. Thank you for listening.